Hello fellow earthlings, it's Libs, and today I'm going to be reading Like Rory Gilmore. So a while ago I looked at the Rory Gilmore reading challenge list and realised I hadn't really read very many books that Rory's read, and when I was younger I wanted to be like Rory Gilmore. Now I think I just want to be like Lorelei and not have some of Rory's more problematic behaviours, but I still love how much Rory enjoyed reading, and it was very cool when I was younger, so I decided that December was the perfect time to read some of her books. I was initially doing this as part of Vlogmas, and then I realised that was a terrible idea because I wasn't really doing anything particularly exciting. So I decided I'm going to scrap Vlogmas. You can watch the one episode I did, video I did up here, but I think now I'm just going to focus on making this a reading like Rory Gilmore video instead. I think that will be much more fun, and then I can really just focus on the books. So for this video I'm going to be reading The Collected Dorothy Parker by Dorothy Parker. I'm halfway through this already. It's good. It's got a bit of everything, and it kind of goes back and forth between poetry and short stories, and then at the end there's a lot of her articles and reviews. So I think it'll be better once I'm on to towards the end, just because it's so all over the place at the moment. Then I'm going to read A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, since I've never actually read any Dickens, and I feel like I should, and this just feels like the year to read A Christmas Carol. And then I'm going to be reading Middlesex by Jeffrey Eugenides, and I picked this one because I love The Virgin Suicides so much. It's one of my all-time favourite books, so I thought since one of his other books was on the list, I should probably read it. It's officially the 8th of December. I got the dog hyped. What have we done today, little dog? I think we've just done some study, done some grocery shopping, and I'm about to get ready for my work Christmas party. It's fun. I opened my, finally started opening the T2 advent calendar, and of course today is a sleepy tea, so I couldn't have that right now, so I'm just about to drink a very normal black tea. Then I opened my little advent calendar my mum made me. I got a very nice black scrunchie today, so whew, you're excited. Someone has the zoomies. Okay, it's officially the 9th of December. I'm having a bit of a lazy day today because I haven't been to a party. I can't remember the last time I actually went to a party. So I'm a bit dead after actually socializing for once, because I never see people. So I'm dead today. I had the French Earl Grey tea, which was nice, but I don't think Earl Grey is my favourite. I'm gonna have another coffee today because I've had so many, but I really need it. My aim is mainly to read more Dorothy Parker, and I need to rearrange some things in my room so I actually have somewhere to put all my plants. So that is going to be my challenge for the day. Okay, I've read 30% of Dorothy Parker. I read another collection of short stories and then another collection of poems, and I'm on to the third collection of stories. I'm kind of glad it's broken up like that though, because each collection of stories has like a different theme. So the second lot was sort of miscommunication, or people not knowing how to kind of like rambling all their thoughts out at once instead of having calm conversations with each other. But I'm still enjoying it. I didn't like the second lot of poetry as much as I liked the first lot. But yeah, I'm going to read a bit more before bed. I finished making the dresser look all nice. I still have some stuff to add to it, but I'll do that tomorrow. Just, yeah, it depends what I can find to fill in the little space between the cacti. Yeah, that's it for tonight. Okay, today is the 10th of December. I have a small bean who is being particularly cuddly today. I'm now more than halfway through Dorothy Parker. I'm excited to get to the reviews that she wrote, because it's just been short stories and poetry and like going back and forth between the two, and I'm just kind of a bit bored with it now. I think it's just like, I quite like her poetry, but a lot of her short stories just aren't quite for me. So I'm hoping that should be relatively soon that I start getting to the reviews and her thought pieces and articles and stuff. So it'll be good. I haven't got much else to say. There's been a few, like a spike in cases where I am, so I haven't really been going out very much if I can avoid it. Although I did manage to find the Juleek moisturising hand sanitizer, which I'm excited for because my hands have been very gross since March last year because they just get so dry with all the alcohol sanitizers. So I'm excited to have one that actually feels nice and doesn't smell quite so overpowering in the car. Hi. Hi. Oh, okay. Okay. So I just got back. Why would you do that? Why would you hit me? Why would you hit me? Oh. My dog thinks she is a 2-year-old child. Oh. And likes to balance in such a way that makes me very nervous. Why? No, okay. I just had the greatest gingerbread I've had in at least a decade. Are you gonna calm down now? What if we go flop? What if we flop? What if we go, oh, flop? Flop. Do you want to flop on the bed? Do you want to flop? Oh. Okay, I think we're good now. She's got the zoomies again. So I just got the best vegan gingerbread man I've had in so long. I haven't had one so good since I moved states when I was, what, 11? So really, really good. Let them eat. Beautiful gingerbread. I don't like being out on a Sunday afternoon, not Sunday, a Friday afternoon here. It is chaos, but I can relax now. I'm thinking, I know I should watch one of the films I have to watch for uni, but I have a sneaky feeling I'm going to end up just watching A Muppet's Christmas Carol tonight, because that just seems like a more fun plan. I just opened the T2 advent calendar and it's a green rose tea today, so I'm excited to try that. I've got my particularly bookish mug, one that I'm very certain Rory Gilmore would own if Gilmore Girls was created today. It smells so good. It's very hot. It's very hot. I think that's really nice. I burnt my tongue a little bit. Okay, well, I feel like this December I spent a lot of time talking about tea, so I thought I should probably actually have some coffee, because I don't think Rory Gilmore would drink tea if her life depended on it. So I was going to show you guys the new coffee machine, but I can't for the life of me figure out how it works. I haven't had to use it yet. It's a little intimidating. Okay, so I've got my coffee and I'm now ready to talk to you about where I'm up to in the collected Dorothy Parker. So, Rory Gilmore always says that she's the ever-quotable Dorothy Parker, and it takes to getting to the end with the reviews to really see that. So, the first one, nope, further than that, possibly further than that. Hang on, I will find where it starts here. This is how much of the book are short stories and poems, and this is the part of the book that is reviews. So you don't get to the really good stuff until page 416. Okay, I'll try and be fair. Some of the short stories in here were actually pretty good. There was one, I've dug into at the bottom for the things that I really liked. There was one short story about this woman who is dancing with this man who's like a terrible dancer, and she goes through the phases of like loving him and hating him and being humiliated by him, all in the span of this one waltz. And it's actually very, very funny and full of wit and charm, so I enjoyed that one. But the vast majority are all kind of about the same theme. The typical theme of a Dorothy Parker short story is people trying to project an image of themselves that's not really who they are, or miscommunication. That's pretty much the theme, and once you've read, 250 pages of short stories about that theme, it can get a bit old. There were some that were great. There was a short story about this woman who's adopted a child and is so extremely classist and ridiculous and doesn't seem to understand that this child is their own person, and hates when this little boy plays with the neighbouring children because they're not as wealthy, and has decided that she knows exactly what this child's going to be when they grow up, and just has a very twisted view of the adoption process. And it was really interesting to read from that character, but it doesn't make for an enjoyable time. The poetry was much better. There were some really, really good ones in here, particularly when Dorothy Parker isn't afraid of going a little more morbid. Okay, I'm not going to read any of the poetry because all the poems I like are really long, of course, but just trust me, most of them are pretty good. Now it's the review section where things get really good. I had to stop folding down the pages because it was pretty much every review I had something to talk about. There's one she writes about the play Redemption by Leo Tolstoy, and it is fantastic. There's one play that she reviewed where she says it was on for 4 nights and a matinee, and then proceeds to say that was 5 performances too long. It was great. There's just the way that she wrote her reviews were just so charming, so scathing, and really make me want to find a time machine to go and watch plays from 1919 or something, because she does such a great job describing them and really building up an image of what these plays really could be. There's one review she's got called Just Around Pooh Corner, which was a play written by the guy who wrote Winnie the Pooh. And boy, is her review scathing. It's incredibly scathing. You feel every ounce of just agony at having to sit through a production that feels so drawn out and pointless. I think this is so great. I've moved on from her play reviews to her book reviews now. I haven't got much to say about them yet, but I'm definitely enjoying the final quarter of this book. I just finished reading Dorothy Parker. I ended up giving it 3.5 stars. Her writing is really fantastic, but it's just like the majority of the book is short stories and poetry, and I pretty much give all short story collections 3 stars, except like one. And like a lot of poetry was good, but it wasn't so good that it brought like my rating much higher, and her reviews are really where Dorothy Parker stands out. They were really great. I think, remembering that most of this was written in like the 20s, there are definitely elements that have not aged particularly well. Most of it wasn't too bad, but there were just a few bits where most of them were parts where I think she was like paraphrasing someone's book, and that might have been where the more problematic elements were, but there were a few ick moments. But overall, for something written in that time period, I don't think it wasn't so uncomfortable to read that I wouldn't recommend it. I think if you really enjoy poetry and short stories, you might really enjoy this book. I always think it was a huge book when the really good part was at the end. Anyway, that's done. I don't have to think about it anymore. And now I'm about to start reading Middlesex by Jeffrey Eugenides, or I'm going to hunt down my copy of Christmas Carol because I can't find it, and the wait list to borrow it from the library is currently 14 weeks. So if I can't find it, I might have to pick another book to read, but I want it to be short, and I don't want it to be The Great Gatsby because I was saving that for another video, but I might just have to read it. Hello, it's been a week since I updated you. There's the small dog is here. Hello. Thank you. The dog is here. I kind of went into a bit of a reading slump after finishing Dorothy Parker, just because it was such a long book, and I don't really read big books like that. I figured out what happened to A Christmas Carol. My mum stole it. So, hello. Do you want to say hello? Do you want to say hello? Since that book is officially not an option for me, I did decide to start reading The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald instead. I'm about halfway through. I'm actually enjoying it this time, so that's good. I think last time I tried to read it, I only read 2 chapters and then gave up because I thought it was boring. But that was quite a few years ago when I was still in high school, so this time I'm enjoying it a lot more. I'm also about 100 pages into Middlesex by Jeffrey Eugenides. I don't really have an opinion on anything yet. It's kind of a very strange situation going on with the grandparents at the moment. So I'm interested to see how it all comes together in the end. It's the kind of book that I'm just like, I don't think I can form any kind of opinion on until I've read the whole thing and then done a bit of research. So we'll see how that one goes. Okay, it is officially the new year and I am out of my reading slump. I finished reading The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald the end of last year. I have this Chiltern classic, which I thought was appropriate given this is a Rory Gilmore reading vlog. I really liked this. I didn't think I would. I thought I would find it boring because the first time I attempted to read this years ago, I didn't like it and I gave up. So I'm thrilled that I genuinely enjoyed it and gave it 4 stars. I think reading this in the summer heat was particularly fun. There's a part where it's an absolutely stinking hot day and the language talking about just how difficult it is to move was chef's kiss when it was 39 degrees Celsius. Not a fun time. But the book was great. I loved it. I think I'm gonna watch the movie later or something, just see what I think about the Baz Luhrmann adaptation now that I've read the book fully. I am also now about 40% of the way into Middlesex by Jeffrey Eugenides. I don't know if I want to talk about it too much before I actually finish, because it's the kind of book where, I don't know. Okay, I now have a dog again. Meow. Meow. But no, I'm liking the writing style of the book, and I like choices of how it's being constructed. I just don't know where it's going, and that's what's making me nervous about it. I know it's the kind of book where I can see why I think it won the Pulitzer Prize in 2003 or 2004, and I can see why. It's just the kind of book where I'd rather read this kind of book. It's a book that's doing so many things. It's an onion, it has layers, and some of the layers are great, and some of the layers have just got me wondering if Jeffrey Eugenides was the right person to be talking about some of these issues. And we'll see how it goes. It has been a journey. A very, very emotional journey, but I have done it. I finally finished reading the 3 books. I finished reading like Rory Gilmore, and I'm excited to never do it again. This may have been a mistake to decide to do this video, but I was determined to do it, even though I vlogged nothing. I vlogged nothing. I was gonna do them as a part of Vlogmas, decided that was too much. It turned into this. It is what it is. So, I'll start with my least favourite book that I read, and that was The Collected Dorothy Parker by Dorothy Parker. We're not surprised. I've ranted about this book enough. It's gone. I'm tossing it out the window. Don't have to deal with it anymore. My second favourite book was Middlesex by Jeffrey Eugenides. This is one that I didn't really want to talk about while I was reading it, because I figured things could go from pretty good to really weird, like representation wise, at any point. So I'll start by saying Jeffrey Eugenides is not an intersex person, and this book is it's an intergenerational story, but it's also about our intersex protagonist, Cal. So there are bits of this book that I thought were fantastic, but I can't speak to whether or not it's good representation or not. This book was published in 2002, and I believe it won the Pulitzer Prize in 2003. So I think it probably did really, really great things when it was released. But I think if you were interested in reading a book about an intersex main character, or you're looking for that representation, this probably isn't the book to go to. I'm sure there is something better out there. But if you were interested in reading a beautifully crafted, really thought out, intergenerational story that is like an onion, it has layers, then you might really enjoy this book. I'm torn between if it's a 4-star or a 3.5. I did enjoy it significantly more than Dorothy Parker, and I gave that a 3.5, so I think I'm going to stick with a 4. That might change. I mean, the Dorothy Parker could move down to a 3 at some point. It just, it depends. There are a lot of trigger warnings, I feel like, for this book as well, so definitely look them up if you're thinking of reading this book, just because some weird and not very pleasant things happen. But it's a beautifully crafted story. It's just, I can't quite speak to whether it's good representation or not. But I love that I've never read a book where
a place has been like a main character. You know, I hear with Sex and the City all the time that New York is like the fifth character. Well, Detroit is kind of the main character of this story. And like, I love that. I'm not from America. I know nothing about Detroit. I have now watched a few documentaries about it. But I think this book really made it kind of a character in the story and did it in such an interesting and unique way. I mean, there's so much about this book I love, but, you know, just be careful going into it. There are some pretty graphic things that happen. Just be aware. And then the book that I thought was going to be my least favourite from this challenge ended up being my favourite, and that is The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. I did not see this coming. I've attempted to read The Great Gatsby before and kind of just despised it. But this time, I don't know, maybe I'm a bit older, I could accept the writing style a lot more. I really enjoyed this and gave it 4 stars. Who knew that F. Scott Fitzgerald was going to turn out to be a good writer? I think we all know what this story is about. It's about this guy named Nick who goes and moves out east to Long Island to do loans or something. Insurance. Something that doesn't really matter anyway. And his next door neighbor is Jay Gatsby. And it's all about how they meet, how Nick's cousin used to date Gatsby and Gatsby's trying to win her back. But it's about a lot more than that, and it's quite intense. It was a great book to read on a particularly hot day. There's a scene where everyone is just dying of heat and just sweating everywhere and sticking to everything, and I felt that in my very soul. So, would I recommend reading like Rory Gilmore? If you already have her taste in books, maybe. You know, if you're already a big fan of classics, you like really dense books where a lot of stuff is happening and there's a lot of like metaphor and they're very, you know, smart books that they want you to think about, then you might really enjoy reading like her. And to be fair, these are 3 books from a reading list of over 300, but I'm probably not going to actively attempt to read Like Rory again. There are books on the list that I am keen to read, so I'll probably do an update to my reading list at some point in the future, but I'm not going to actively go out and attempt to read like her anymore since the books were just so long. Well, not The Great Gatsby, but all the other books were so long, and it took me a stupid amount of time to read them because of their length. And to be fair, I got out of my reading slump after finishing like The Great Gatsby. That really helped. I think Dorothy Parker just made me not want to read anymore. I guess that tells you how I really feel about it, doesn't it? But, you know, stuff and things. Anyway, I have another reading vlog I'm about to start working on now, which I think will be a bit more successful than this one, so I'm excited to hop on into it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.